Well, that is Riku Mukherjee, and I am Tony Altieri. And Rick, Tiger is back, dude. We're here. It's Genesis week. We get to see Big Cat. He unveiled a brand new logo since severing his partnership with Nike. I mean, so much to talk about: the waste management, the Super Bowl, a lot of things happening. This is an elevated event. But before we get into all that, I want to remind everybody to drop a nickel on the subscribe button. It goes a long way to helping us keep the channel free and give you access. If you happen to be logging in the show or watching this afterwards, don't be afraid to leave a comment. Also, join the Discord. The link after the show is posted on YouTube will be down in the description. You can click that, join the conversation, ask questions of Rick and myself during the course of the week. It's just a great little text string, and we're pretty active on that as well. But want to remind everybody to do that. But Rick, I mean, we got a big week this week, dude. Did you see Tiger stuff drop yesterday?
Sunday Red. That's what it's called.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
I like it.
I don't know. Did somebody have the actual word Sunday and Red trademarked, and so they had to separate it into 3 words? Or, I mean, what's the deal with that?
I don't think so. He gave some generic explanation as to why it was 3 words. I don't remember exactly what he said, but classic Tiger. He's always wearing his Sunday Red, so it's a proper name for his new clothing line.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what he breaks out, because obviously we got sneak peeks of things. He had the hoodie on. We saw the Sunday Red polo that he's going to wear. We saw the kicks. So I'm interested to see what his fits are this week. Obviously, homeboy's got to make the cut if we want to see him play on the weekend and wear the red shirt. So we need him to play well. But this is a tough track, dude. I mean, Riv is one of the most difficult courses on tour. It's a comp course with Augusta and Travelers. This is a Bubba track. Bubba won here 3 times in a 5-year stretch. And it just seems to favor bombers. It's a long course, and guys who can put it down the fairway, move the ball down the course, are going to have a better shot to hit mid and shorter irons versus having to hit 4 and 5 irons into these greens. These greens are fast, they're firm. The weather could be a bit of a mixed bag, but this is one of my favorite events, and obviously me and yours proximity to Torrey Pines. We kind of have a bias to being Torrey Pines guys. We're close to where La Quinta is, but it feels like Riv, now that kind of Tiger's wrapped his arms around it, is kind of elevated above all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you could still say it's in our backyard. I mean, it's not that far away for us. If we wanted to, we could definitely travel to the tournament. Yeah, man, I love this course. It's a classical golf course. It's a tough golf course. We've seen people choke away leads here. We've seen some drama at this course for sure in the past. Like you said, Tiger needs to make the cut here. This is definitely a course he's never played well at, which I don't really get why he's the host of a tournament where he doesn't play well. But he could pick any tournament on the entire tour on the schedule and be the host of the tournament and at a course that he plays well. But he chooses this. I guess this is where he made his pro debut, and I guess pro debut. I guess he has a lot of obviously ties to Southern California and stuff like that, being a California guy. So yeah, man, I'm excited. He better make the cut. I mean, it's pretty easy to make the cut this week. We'll talk about it in a second, but it is not difficult to make the cut this week. There's going to be a lot of 606 lineups this week. You're going to be very, very unlucky if you don't get a 606 lineup through this week.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll get into the field. Before we get into that, I'm just curious, man. Did you get to watch much of the final day and a half of Waste Management?
Yeah, I watched all of it. I actually didn't watch the playoff because it was kind of bled into the Super Bowl, and after Scotty was out, I basically kind of stopped watching, and then I saw highlights and saw Nick Taylor win and stuff like that. But Scotty was my horse last week. I took him in a lot of one and dones, and I have a one and done that I'm in where you get to pick one wild card a year, meaning you get to double your earnings for that week. And in that league, in that one and done, I picked Scotty wild card this week, and I was part of the group that was the top earner for the week because no one had Nick Taylor and no one had Charlie Hoffman, but kind of stings a little bit when Scotty played so well and I only got $1 million out of the wild card instead of 2.5 or 3 million or whatever I would have gotten if you won the tournament. The guy just is so good. It's just so frustrating to watch because you just know that putter is gonna. I mean, I think his putting at that tournament this week was an outlier because the real Scotty came out on the back nine on Sunday. He hits everything to 10 feet or inside of 10 feet, and he just for some reason this past week he was making a lot of the putts, but then on the back nine on Sunday he just gagged him. He just missed a bunch of shorties, and he could have been in that playoff. If he was in that playoff, he would have won. And I just was very upset when he missed all those short putts on the back nine, and I kind of gave up and just started watching the Super Bowl at that point. And then I lost money on the 49ers because I had the 49ers. And that is what it is.
Yeah, similarly but slightly different. I didn't have Scotty, but I had bets on both Sahith and Burns. And Sahith was kind of in it until he wasn't. It just felt like he was stuck in neutral. The one thing that I think we are starting to develop with him is we're starting to see like where he plays well and where he doesn't. And this is definitely like in TPC Scottsdale, that's definitely a course that suits his eye. He just seems to play really, really well there. You want to talk about putting, dude? Burns shot of 64, and I think every time they cut to him, he was missing a 3-foot putt for birdie. They actually rolled a package that he was playing in a group with Vegas and Berger. And I just happened to watch that on ESPN Plus kind of as the day was closing because I kind of was out of it. I ended up, jumping on the Charlie Hoffman train right as it transitioned from round 3 to round 4 on Sunday at like 10-1. And I bet enough just like if it hit, it would like basically save my week. And obviously we know how things worked out, so it didn't save my week. So I was watching Burns the dude missed so many putts, and he hit a bomb. I think it was on like 12 or 13, and he was like 50 yards in front of Berger and Vegas. They both, from the rough, put it to like 12 feet. He hits it in the bunker. And then he hit a great bunker shot to like 3 feet and then missed the putt. And it was just like right before he missed the putt, the PGA Tour Live guys ran a package of him that day missing like 8 putts inside of like 12 feet. And I'm like, the dude still shot a 64, but the dude could have shot 57 if he would have made half the putts that he missed.
Yeah, he's been playing good, man. I'm not usually a Burns guy, but I'm definitely gonna be looking his way this week just because of his form coming in, and he's played well at Riv before, and it's a situation where I'm like, wow, I'm actually never really a Burns guy. I don't really click on his name that much, and I like him. I like the form coming in. He played well at Amex. He should have won that tournament. He should have won Waste Management if he made a few putts, and he played well at Pebble Beach also. So, man, it might be Burns week this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think between him and JT, they're probably the two guys. I mean, other than Scotty. Scotty's on a different level. It's just, I feel like the safest bet in the world is just bet Scotty Scheffler top 10 every single week. Just bet him top 10, and you're going to win 60% of the time, and you're going to make a lot of money. I don't have the stones to do that. It's way too boring. But I do think other than Scotty, that JT and Burns are clearly the guys coming in that are just like, it feels like they're really, really close to clicking. JT was very, very similar, dude. It felt like he was stuck in neutral, could not get off the number when everybody else started to elevate and move forward and get into the high teens. He was stuck. He just could not get out of that drudge. With all that being said, I think he still finished like, inside the top 12 or 10 or something like that. So it's not like he played terrible, but it felt like he never really, he never really had a chance to make anything happen. And again, he didn't play bad. The guys were passing. He was getting lapped. And, to your point, like Charlie Hoffman, I'll tell you what, dude, old Chuck Hoffman, we talked about him on the show briefly, like just because he had really good course history. And, the ball striking numbers had been pretty good, even though the results may not have been stellar. And dude, the guy was absolutely automatic. He got by a guy that shot 6 under in his last 7 holes, including birdieing both of the playoff holes. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
Tough
crazy.
loss. Yeah, tough loss for him. I mean, I was at the end, I was rooting for him because even when Scotty was out of it, I was like, man, I hope Charlie Hoffman wins this because I have a soft spot for him. He's always been a guy that I always go to. But yeah, waste management guy wearing green, all that stuff. It would have been a perfect story for him to win. And Nick Taylor is so clutch, man. We saw him be clutch at Pebble Beach when he won. We saw him be clutch at the Canadian Open last year when he won. Dude is just nails went down the stretch. And we saw it last year. I'm surprised we didn't really talk about him that much last week. And I didn't click his name or anything like that. But we saw it last year, man. He was in the hunt with Scotty and Rom last year. I think he was in that final group last year or something like that. And I played well. He could have easily won the tournament back-to-back years. So, yeah, keep that as a mental note, guys. Nick Taylor at the Waste Management. Play him next year.
Yeah, oddly enough, I went back and looked at the model just to see, like, what was happening. And I looked at some of the other data in there. Oddly enough, dude, kind of weird. A bunch of guys on the top of the leaderboard at Waste Management, also at Sony. It could just be that they're similar fields because of the time of year and the quality of guys. But Nick Taylor, he finished 7th at Sony. Like, to give you an idea, like a couple other guys, Decky finished 22nd at the Waste Management. He finished 30th at Sony. Another one that I saw here that there was a lot of correlation between the leaderboards. I never really think of those two courses as being similar. Sony's tighter, we think of like Russell Henley and those guys there, but it was just odd when I went back and looked at it that those two tracks had a really similar leaderboard, like in terms of the top 20 in both fields. Could just be the fact that, it's that time of year and we get a lot of the same guys playing these events. At the same point in time, just, I guess, something to throw into the memory bank and look at next year. But, this week we're moving on. It is the Genesis. We mentioned it. It's an elevated event. It's a truncated field. I think we got 70 guys in this field, and it's T50 and above will end up making the cut. So I guess kind of similar to the Masters in terms of you got to finish inside the top 50 to make the cut. There is no within 10 shots of the leader like the Masters, but it's a small field and it's a stacked field. Hoffman, we mentioned, he gets his way into this tournament this week. So I'll be excited to see him play this week and see if he can follow it up. But any, I guess, thoughts about Tiger and him playing in this event and what it could do for the PGA? And the only reason I bring that up is we've now had 2 weeks where there's just been terrible weather, and the PGA tournaments have been, a plate of spaghetti all over the place, trying to mishmash, rounds together. And it's kind of left some holes for people to go watch Liv. Liv had this great event where Neiman beat Sergio in a playoff, which was phenomenal. And then, in Vegas, they had basically all their stars down the stretch. DJ ends up winning in Vegas this week. I actually didn't watch any of Liv this week, but, do you think this is an important week for the PGA Tour based off of just kind of what's happened to them because of the weather the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the only reason I watched Liv when Neiman and Garcia were in the final playoff there was because there was no PGA Tour that day.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any Liv last week because there was PGA Tour, and I'm a PGA Tour guy, and I'm not really a fan of Liv. I caught the very end with DJ beating Rom and Bryson and whoever he was battling up against, but. I don't really care for Liv, man. This is Tiger week, and this is gonna be a big week for eyes. It looks like the weather's gonna be good this week as far as precipitation goes. It doesn't look like there's gonna be any rain in Los Angeles this week. It might be a little chilly. We're at the time of the year right now where we're getting a little chilly temperatures here in Southern California, but no precipitation this week. We should have four full rounds. It's only 70 guys, so they're going to get all these rounds in. We're going to see a lot of Tiger on TV this week, and we're going to see a lot of golf shots. So, yeah, it's a big week for them. I think it's going to be probably their highest viewed event of the year so far, for sure. And they should put on a good show. This tournament always does bring some drama down the stretch, and I really like this event. I really like the course, and it should be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's a great event. It's a great course. It's historic. It is Tiger's event. And I think any time that you can associate Tiger's name with a tournament, even when he wasn't playing the Genesis and was just a host, like I think there's an elevated, I guess, visibility that they have just for the general and casual sports fan. Because I think everybody recognizes like the amount of competitive rounds that we're going to continue to see Tiger Woods play over the next couple of years is few and far between. So, when it happens, it's kind of like watching a major. Like it's only going to happen a couple times a year, and it's special and it's unbelievable. And there's been some ideas about some of the coverage that were floated out there that I thought were great. And it's like, hey, ESPN Plus, just run every shot Tiger hits. Like whatever group Tiger's in, like he's going to be with JT and probably with Homa. Like that's going to be his crew this week, or maybe JT and Morikawa. But like just have that group see every freaking shot, on Thursday and Friday, and you'll add like, I don't know, 10,000 ESPN Plus subscriptions because people will want to see Tiger hit every one of his shots, regardless of whether he's competitive or not this week.
Yeah, I totally agree with all that. It's anytime Tiger's in an event, it's a different buzz than any other week of the year. So it doesn't matter if he's old and crippled and playing, but if he's playing, we're gonna watch, and hopefully he plays all 4 rounds. That'd be nice.
Yeah, every time Tiger plays, we all become like 12-year-old boys again, and like we just want to watch him hit golf shots. And it doesn't hurt that old boy is just, he is jacked. Like, dude, Tiger looks like he's on like that Jose Canseco, Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire stuff, dude. Like he's straight Balco right now. He is so big. And it looks funny because you see pictures of him from like even a year ago, and the dude is like 20 pounds heavier of just muscle. He's just he's just a freak show right now. But obviously we're excited to see Tiger play, but there's a bunch of other dudes in this field that are playing very, very well. We mentioned a bunch of guys kind of off the jump. One guy that we didn't talk about, but in the modeling here, you can see for me this week, and I'll talk a little bit about it as we get into it, but Xander was, kind of a convenient scratch last week. I had heard rumors that he's kind of battling maybe a little bit of an injury. I thought maybe he took the week off because he wanted to go to Super Bowl, because I think he actually lives in Vegas. I don't know, but it was interesting that he didn't play Waste Management last week.
Him and Hovland both withdrew last week. Hovland came out and said that his game is not where he wants it to be. He said that he needs to work on the game. He's not. I guess he was. I don't know. It's probably just an excuse. I'm sure he's fine, but he said that he needs to work on his game. He needs to practice to get to where he wants to play, and that's why he took the week off. He's been practicing, and I don't really know what's going on with Xander. I just assume that because it was not an elevated event and it was Super Bowl week, it was a nice party week to go to Vegas and stuff like that. I think it was just a convenient excuse to not play last week. And we saw it last week. We never talked about it, but like some of these guys just don't like to deal with the crowd at Waste Management. Like we saw like lots of videos of what was going on this weekend, and then people just wasted out of their mind and yelling in people's backswings and players getting frustrated and stuff like that. So, sometimes people just don't want to deal with that, and then they just decide to skip the event. But I think they're fine. To come back here and play this week, I think they're not players. Xander and Victor are good enough in my mind, they're good enough to the point where even if they withdrew last week, they're not a scary click for me. Like I would still click their name and play them in DraftKings and stuff like that. But I just don't really care that they withdrew last week is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's interesting because we kind of saw this stretch from Rory on the screen down to Homa. None of the guys really played that great at Pebble Beach. I think all 4 of them finished like outside the top 50 in that field, which is kind of crazy to think about. And obviously Rory's form I have tracking here doesn't have anything that he did in the Mid-East swing on the DP tour, where he obviously should have won 2 weeks in a row and won and had a T2 the next week. But of the guys above 10K, if we separate this, dude, I don't know if any of those four guys are going to garner a ton of ownership this week. Like I feel like the guys in the 9Ks are really going to be the chalk guys this week that everybody's going to flock to. But I mean, if you were to venture a guess on like who's going to be the chalkiest dude above 10K, where do you think ownership's going to land?
I think it's going to be Scotty. I think people have gotten comfortable clicking his name. They just, he's pretty much a guaranteed top 5 or a top 10 for sure at any event. He has decent history here. 12th place finish last year, 7th the year before. So this is a course that fits him well. Obviously, I think for me, you hit on it a little bit earlier. I think this week for me, I'm just gonna play bombers, man. I think the bomber narrative is pretty crucial here this week. We've gotten a lot of rain in Southern California, so these courses are playing longer than they usually do. Even though there's not going to be any rain this week, there's still moisture in the ground and stuff like that. So I'd rather have these guys hitting, mid iron, like short irons to mid irons instead of long irons in the greens. And the guy at the top for me is Rory. I mean, like I didn't play him at Pebble Beach. I said it on our show, on our Pebble Beach show, that I never liked playing Rory in his first start of the year. On the PGA Tour, coming straight out of the Middle East, but he has that tournament under his belt. He made the cut, even though he played well actually, and then he kind of unraveled after his little penalty situation. But I'm not scared to go back to Rory here, man. He is number 1 in my model in driving distance. He is just absolutely a flusher off the tee. We know how good he is with the driver. He's going to be a good leverage play, I think, sandwiched between Scotty and Xander, who are going to be more chalky than him. So for me, above 10K, I think it's Rory. I mean, if you because the pricing is kind of soft and you got players in the 6K range that you could click this week, and the cut is so amenable for us to be able to make a 6-6 lineup. I think people are not scared to click Scotty this week. But for me, I think I'd rather just pivot to Rory, lower ownership. This week, I think he's going to have a good week this year, and I mean, he plays well here. I mean, he has a 4th place finish, a 5th place finish, a top 10. And, like it's not like he plays bad at this tournament. So, I don't think they've released pairings yet, but I know he played with Tiger last year and JT last year, so it was a pretty comfortable grouping for him last year. So we'll see who he's grouped with this year, but. I like Rory off the top. Who do you like above 10K? For me, it's Rory, and that's it.
Yeah, oddly enough, I'm kind of there with you on Rory. I think a lot of people are going to end up skipping over him because the last thing they saw was him kind of fall apart at Pebble Beach. And, people are going to look to him finishing, basically in 30th place here last year and be like, oh, it's not him. But I agree with you. I think for me, the 2 most heavily weighted stats when you look historically at this course for, what translates to success, its approach, is number 1 by and large, and it is. But approach this week on a factor of 2 is twice as important as any other stat. But then the second stat, and you mentioned it, is total driving. Like the driver needs to be a weapon for you to have success at this course, because we talked about it. Like you could be really good at finding fairways and really good with long irons, but if you're consistently hitting 4 and 5 iron into par 4s, and you have guys like Rory and Scotty and Aberg and Homa who are hitting 6-7 iron, like that's a massive advantage that they have, the ability to get the ball in the air, to put spin on it, to get it to stop, because these greens are hard. They're very drastically sloped, so you have to hit the right spots on the green. So I think like you, I tend to lean bomber. And if you look at who the guys are that drive the ball the farthest, they just tend to play well here. I mean, JB Holmes, the year that he won, dude, I think he finished inside the top 4 in driving distance that week, and that's the only reason why he competed. He just smashed the ball as far as he possibly could. The rough is mitigated and doesn't cause a lot of problems. We saw Bubba do the same thing when he won 3 times here. Just hit it down there as far as you possibly can and give yourself the shortest iron shot in.
Yep. I mean, bombers tend to win here. I mean, Adam Scott's he hits it far off the tee too, and he's won here, and JB Holmes uh, and Max Homa. I mean, he's not really a bomber, but he's not short off the tee. He's plenty long off the tee. So
Yeah. I would put him
yeah,
in the same category as like Xander and Cantlay in that
yeah,
they're so accurate and they hit the ball very far. You're right. They're not bombers, but they're just an amazing mix where their total driving stats are off the charts.
yeah. Who do you like in the 9K range? I can tell you who my favorite play in the 9K range is.
Yeah, Aberg for me.
Aberg for me.
Yeah, he is, dude. He is built for this course. Like
Absolutely.
we saw him at Torrey Pines, a course that we're all like, "Hey, this is a good setup for Aberg." And dude, he finished T2. He absolutely played phenomenally, and this course is built for him. We mentioned it. The dude pounds the ball off the tee. He's immaculate with his irons. And I think this, if anybody could win like in their maiden attempt, it's him. And the only thing that scares me, which is a point that you made about the field being much smaller and 6 of 6 being at a much higher clip this week, like you got to be careful, because if everybody's thinking like we are, like a super chalky Aberg with Morikawa and Cantlay and Thomas right there, it's like, dude, there's some really easy pivots if Aberg starts cresting 20% this week.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a scare, a little bit something that frightens me. He early, we're doing this on a Tuesday night. It is looking like he's going to be somewhat chalky with the other guys that you mentioned, Morikawa, Cantlay, JT, and Aberg all seem to be the guys in the 9K range where they're garnering ownership, and then it looks like the pivots off of those guys are clear. It's Max Homa and Jordan Spieth. Max Homa, a guy with probably the best course history here.
Oh, dude, this is his course.
This is his course. Yeah, second, a 10th, a win, a 5th, the last 4 years. That's just like immaculate. I think the reason why he's not garnering ownership is because he hasn't been playing good recently. His form coming in is pretty shitty. But I think this is a get right spot for him, man. I mean, if you're going to give me a cheap, not a cheap, a lower owned Max Homa at Riv, I'm going to click it every time. So I think for me, it's clear that my favorite two players in this 9K range are Aberg and Homa at top. And then after that, I mean, I don't think you can really go wrong with Cantlay at this event. He's an LA guy. He went to UCLA. He's played this course a million times. Great course history here. I just think it's like an automatic. It's never a fade for Cantlay for me here at this course. It's either a being even with the field or going overweight on Cantlay. It's probably more of an even with the field kind of situation for me this year. I definitely won't be underweight on Cantlay. But those are my three guys in this range. And if you want to get really strange and look for real leverage here, it's Jordan Spieth. No one's playing him this week. And I don't really like the play, but just from a pure leverage standpoint, he looks like he's coming in like 6-7% right now. He played well last week. I got to give him that. I mean, the guy, I don't know if you saw some of his chips at the Waste Management. I was just like, he hit this one chip on Saturday where he literally he was like maybe like at most like 20 feet from the hole, and he aimed like 10 feet left and he chipped it, and the ball like spun to the right towards the hole to a tap in. And I was like, how in the world did he do that? Like, it just blew my mind how he did that. And the guy's short game is just so immaculate. And like, this is a course where your short game needs to be good. You need to be able to make, chips, because you're not going to hit every green. You need to be able to get up and down from anywhere on Kikuyu grass. And Jordan Spieth's a magician around the green. So he doesn't have the greatest course history here, but as a pure leverage play, I don't mind it. 7% ownership for Jordan Spieth. It's a pretty good option to try to gain some leverage on the field in GPPs.
Yeah, I would say, I think it's smart to sprinkle some Spieth in. It's funny because we mentioned that this is often thrown out as kind of like a comp course or a corollary course for Augusta. And obviously, Jordan's, he's won at Augusta. It's the place that he feels the happiest. And he just, to your point, has not done well at Riv. Maybe it's the type of grass at Riv being a pure POA course versus, Bent or Bermuda. which they have down south. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm more curious to know like what you think people are going to do from a build perspective, because I think what people are going to do is jam 3 of these guys in the 9Ks in there, and then I think you're going to see a lot of people just skip the 10K altogether. I don't think you're going to see your traditional above 10K guy, 9K guy, and then, whatever the build asks you to do from there from a math perspective. I feel like people are going to go grab, Morikawa, Aberg, and, Homa or Cantlay or JT. And not that all of those guys can be chalky, but I think they're all going to kind of eat at each other's ownership. I just feel like Aberg is gaining a lot of steam, and he's probably going to be the chalkiest dude in this range when it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's a little scary, but yeah, I do agree. I think the builds are going to be 3 guys in the 9K, or maybe one of the guys in the 10K, and then 2 guys in the 9K, maybe something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think the more balanced build is the going to be the chalkier build this week. If you want to get weird and different, like play 2 guys above 10K and skip the 9K completely, you're gonna be different then for sure. So play around with those lineups. You'll definitely that's how you build, and you want to get different. You want to make a lineup. I know my main lineup last week was Scotty and JT right at the top. I plugged those 2 guys in there and just kind of built from there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But if Aberg's chalk, I'm just going to eat it, man. He's too good. I think he's going to win this week.
Yeah, I feel I bet him as well. So I can't fault that logic. Dropping down to the 8Ks, you kind of mentioned it with Spieth, but I think you can kind of paint that narrative. If you're going to see a lot of people build with 3 guys in the 9K, like the whole top of the 8,000s is going to get ignored, from basically Wyndham Clark all the way to Tony Finau. Like none of those guys are going to get owned. And I think, we talked about it both on and off camera. Adam Scott is the guy that everybody's like, Adam Scott. He's won here. Of course, history's immaculate. Even when he has not played well, he's played well at Riv. So I feel like everyone's just going to play Adam Scott this week. And I feel like anybody else in this range, you can go ahead and grab their name out of a hat. The only guy that I think, and it's somebody that we talked about that we both really like, and another guy that I've already bet this week, is Burns. I think Burns is going to garner some ownership. I do like the play. And I think that I think you could make an argument that him and JT have basically been playing the same. JT's in the low 9Ks, Burns is in the high 8s. But I like Burns. Tagala too. Like Tagala's playing great, man. And again, we're in LA. He went to Pepperdine. He's an LA guy. Cam Young, you can't go wrong with Cam Young either. He's playing phenomenally. That dude, through the first 9 holes on Sunday, which were obviously the bleed over from Saturday that was canceled, I thought Cam Young was going to win that thing. That dude was on fire. And then as soon as they started the 4th round, he just literally shit down his leg, and he played terrible the last 18 holes. So, but again, I like Cam Young here. The profile fits. We mentioned, bombing and being a masher off the tee. His irons have not been great. But he absolutely smashes the ball with the driver.
Yeah. When you look at last 50 rounds, driving distance, Adam Scott is 4th, and Cam Young is like 10th or something like that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a tough call because you're going to get Adam Scott, who's coming in with like absolutely great form, played good last week coming to a course where he plays well every year. And it's a little scary of a fade, but he's going to be the chalkiest guy on the slate, man. I can't get to the chalkiest guy in the slate when there's names around him that I like. I like Cam Young. I like Tagala. I like Burns. I like Wyndham Clark right above him. Wyndham Clark's playing great recently, and he's no slouch when it comes to driving distance off the tee. So, it's kind of weird how this range is playing out, just because there's so much ownership going towards Adam Scott. But I think just from a pure like leverage slash good plays for me, I think it's Cam Young, Sam Burns, and Tagala. I think those are the guys in this range that I like. I know there's a lot of, I know Tony Finau, always seems to get ownership, but he's not getting any ownership this week. Another guy that's he's long off the tee. We know that. He doesn't have he has pretty good course history here. So interesting play up there. The one guy no one's playing is Tommy Fleetwood at 8,800. I don't think I could get there either with him. Yeah, I like it. I like the chalky guys, and the chalkier, less chalky than Adam Scott, but still kind of chalky guys in this range. I like those plays. Below Adam Scott, do you like any of those three guys? I don't really have any feelings towards Tom Kim, Jason Day, or Sung Jae this week.
I would tell you this: Sung Jae has been terrible. I keep playing him thinking that it's going to flip, but like if you look at his splits, dude, they're so bad. Wyndham Clark was the guy that I really liked, and you kind of talked about that, so we don't need to revisit that. I do like him a lot. He's a bet for me this week. But Sung Jae's, there's something broken with him right now, and I just don't know what it is. I mean, he's lost on approach, I think, in like 4 straight events. And like last week at the Waste Management, he made the cut, but dude, he lost nearly 5 strokes to the field over those 4 rounds on approach. And we typically think of him as just like a ball striking maven, like a machine. And he's been bad, dude. Like he's been very bad. So I don't know if he's going through swing changes or what the deal is, but his irons are so bad. I can't jump on the Sung Jae train. I got to see some life there. I'm never a Jason Day guy. And this course is not a Jason Day course to me. Like when I think of the places where he plays really, really well. At the same point in time, I mean, the dude finished top 10 here last year. So they're easy fades for me, and I can see why nobody's playing them. Tom Kim played amazing to make the cut last week. And then I think he ended up finishing like inside the top 20 at Waste Management, like quietly. The irons were very good. We know that he doesn't mash the ball, but he is like deadly accurate off the tee. I think if I'm going to pivot off of Adam Scott, that Wyndham Clark or even Fitz, I think are more attractive pivots to me. I could see Tom Kim, but Day and Sung Jae, I can't do either of those guys.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think Sung Jae should just wait until he gets to Florida. He always tends to play better in Florida to begin with. So, definitely a fade for Sung Jae for me. I think it's a fade for all 3 of these guys for me. I don't think I'm going to play any of ththese guys. I think from Adam Scott up to Tommy Fleetwood, up to Tony Finau, you could play kind of anyone you want except maybe Tommy. But yeah, I mean, below Adam Scott, it's all fades for me. So. It's a little gap there where you're definitely going to get some leverage on ownership, but it's too risky of a click for me. I can't get that.
Yeah, I guarantee you one of those 3 guys is going to end up showing up, and we're going to be like, dude, we talked about him, but there's not enough in what I can see right now that would make me want to change my mind. Day, when you look at his splits, I mean, it's like one tournament he gains on approach and loses off the tee, and then the next week he does the complete opposite. He's kind of like Jordan Spieth to me. Like you never know what version of him you're going to get, like where he's going to play well. So I can never get him right. And so he's a fade for me this week. But I think, to your point, like if you can stay away from Adam Scott or take whatever shares you got at Adam Scott and either be over-owned or pivot to one of these other guys, there's a ton of leverage. I know Cam Young's kind of gaining some steam and being talked up, but Burns is probably my favorite. I think you made a good case for Finau. It's easy to sell me on Finau. I always want to play him. But I could see Finau if he's, sub 10% in a 70-man field, like that feels like an easy click for me, Finau there. And I mean, he's played well here to your point. No finish worse than 50th. So he's made 5 straight cuts here. He's got a top 10, a top 5, top 15. So he's played well. It's a place that he's comfortable. So I still say Burns is the play for me in this area, followed by probably Cam Young. Those would be my 2 guys here.
I like it. I like both those plays.
Dropping down into the next tier, dude, this is where it gets interesting. Like these tiers, this tier in particular, this 7K tier is where you can win a GPP because there's guys down here and it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of form and history and how guys are playing. But It's interesting. I wanted to ask you specifically, Will Zalatoris. Like when I ran my stats and he came in 14th in my model, I'm like, okay, what's going on? And then I recognize like a lot of the stats that I'm picking up were from last year in the PGA Tour, and obviously the dude's got great course history here. And it feels like he's kind of rounding back into form a little bit. He made a cut, and then he, at the Farmers where he should have won and lost in that playoff to Luke List, he finished top 15. When you look at the numbers, the approach is back. The off the tee is not quite there, but I mean, he's hitting irons again really, really well. I mean, can you go back to Will Zalatoris this early?
Yes and no. I can go back to him, but the only thing is that everyone else is going back to him also. If you look at Fantasy National, and you look at their ownership projections, he's the only guy from 7,900 down all the way to the min that has the red calculated ownership at 17%. So everybody's going to him this week. Makes sense. He looks like he's back, man. Coming in off of two pretty good finishes his last 2 times out, and fourth place finish here last year. A couple top 30 finishes before that. I'm a sucker for him. I think he's back. I think it's a good opportunity to jump on him at a price where very, very tasty at 7,900. I mean, we've seen this guy be in the 10Ks before. So it's a little scary from ownership perspective because it seems like everyone else is kind of a pivot off of him. And there's everything else like ownership wise is pretty flat in the 7K range. So I mean, I like the play. I just don't like the ownership. Below him, I like the Bombers, man. Nikolai Højgaard at 7,800. He's like in my model, he's third in driving distance. Bjørn N at 70. What is he? 7,600. He's second in driving distance in my model. I love those plays, man. Here, these guys. I mean, Nikolai Højgaard's never played here before. Bjørn N hasn't played here in a long time. I don't know if he's ever played here, but the Bombers here, man. I will rather go to those guys than the shorter hitters off the tee here. Eric Cole, Russell Henley, Chris Kirk. Keegan. Well, Keegan's kind of long, but Denny McCarthy. I'm not going to go to those guys here. Just because I think they're going to get eaten up a little bit by the distance and how long this course actually plays. And Eric Cole's my guy, but he showed his true nature at long courses at Torrey a couple weeks ago when he played terrible and missed the cut. I'm not playing him here. I'll go back to him at a shorter course in Florida in a couple of weeks. So I from 7,500 and above, I think my favorite plays are going to be Will Z, Højgaard, and Benny N. I think those are the guys. I have a little love for Siwoo Kim. He played pretty well. He played pretty good last week too. But those are my plays above 7,500. I don't really have any sort of conviction towards any of the other guys in that range. What about you?
Yeah, dude, Højgaard was the one I was going to ask you about. You and I are on the same page there. We watched him play extremely well at Farmers. A lot of the same proximities, like that 175 to 200. You mentioned how far he hits the ball. The dude absolutely mashes it. So I love Højgaard. The other names for me that I really like in this range, I got to take a break from Cam Davis. Before I jump into the guys I like, I got to stop with Cam Davis. Every time I see him down here, I'm like, Cam Davis, $7,200. That's a click. Yeah, me and everybody else up to 20%, then he misses the cut. So I'm going to take a break from Cam Davis this week. But the other guys that I really like down there in that range, Sepp Straka, I'm a Sepp Straka guy. I feel like this is a place where he can play well. He's made, I think, 3 out of 4 cuts here with the top 15. So Sepp I like a lot. And the other guy is going to surprise you, but we saw him flash well. And I mentioned Travelers as kind of just a comp course. Again, totally different setup, but we just see similar leaderboards. Harris English. Like Harris English finished, I think he finished inside the top 15 here last year. And then he played dude, I sent you a text. I'm like, I'm betting Harris English right now live. And he fell apart in the final round, but the dude was on fire in round 3. I really thought he was going to make a run. So I like Harris English a lot here this week. He's probably going to be a staple for me if I'm going to end up going with, guys, 2 or 3 guys above 9K. So English is my guy down here in the low 7s.
My guy's going to be Kurt Kitayama. I like him. He played really good last week. He's a bomber off the tee. He had a miscut here last year. I'm not too worried about that, but we've seen him play well at these elevated events. I think I like the Harris English call. I'm not really a Harris English guy because I don't really know what I even don't even know what he looks like because I thought he was Hudson Swafford. So,
You thought he was Hudson Swafford, yeah.
But I definitely don't. I mean, you sold me a little bit, so I don't mind it. But I'll go to Kurt Kitayama. Where is he? He's not even on your list here.
I think he is. Kitty. I might have moved him off of here for whatever reason. I might have forgot him.
Oh no, he's 69. He's 6,900.
Yeah, he's in the next group. I'll tell you this about Kurt Kitayama. Like I watched his group a little bit because I can't remember who he played with, but there was somebody else in his group that I was following. Dude, Kurt Kitayama saw every square foot of that course last week. That dude was in the bushes. He was on cart paths. He was in cactus. He was everywhere, but in the fairway. And they'd show him hitting him shot, and then they'd cut back to him. They're like, Kurt Kitayama for birdie. I'm like, dude, the guy was behind the cactus. Like, he was underneath the truck. Like, how the hell is he putting for birdie right now? But, yeah, that dude, like, I don't know how he did it, but it was like, oh, Kurt Kitayama's dead. And then next thing, back to Kurt Kitayama putting for birdie. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, he definitely likes to spray it off the tee. Just on the slide itself for the under 7,500 guys, I don't mind going back to Nick Taylor. He played well. I mean, obviously he played well last week. He won the tournament. Last couple times he's played here, 33rd and a 20th, so not bad finishes for a $7,200 guy. And then we always talk about how this course seems to tend to play better for left-handers. So Brian Harman is interesting. It's just that he's literally ranked in the top 15 in the world, and he's 7,300. I think it's good value. It's just that the only thing that scares me is as a lefty, he's never played well here for some reason. Miscut, and then before that, just the 43rd, to 47th, to 51st. Nothing to come home about, and he's not even coming in with good form. I think it's kind of a punt situation with Brian Harman. It wouldn't be something that I would be overweight on, but I don't mind the punt kind of play there with him. Ricky, no. Hideki, maybe. He used to play well here a few years ago, but in the last couple of years, he hasn't played good. I definitely like Sepp Straka. I like that call from you. I know you're a Sepp Straka guy, but he's one of those guys that hits the ball long off the tee, and he's a Ryder Cupper, and I think he doesn't. I don't think he really belongs in the $7,100 range. I think he's better than that. For some reason, DraftKings always continues to underprice him. So from 7,500 down, I think my favorite play is Nick Taylor, and then after that is probably Sepp Straka. And I'm going to play Cam Davis. You can take a break on him. I'm going to play him. Yeah,
one guy I did want to ask you about, just because statistically in the key stats that I put out there, not a bomber at all, but very, very accurate off the tee, and he's inside the top 10 every single week in approach. Chris Kirk, I mean, I know what you're saying, and he does not fit the narrative that we talked about, but he is a good driver of the golf ball. And I mean, dude, the guy's just been playing great. Like, he's been very, very good.
Has he ever played here?
I don't know if he's ever played it, but I know he hasn't played it in 5 years.
Let me see here. So last time he played it was 2016, missed cut, 2013, 33rd, then miscut. Yeah, pretty bad, poor course history here. Yeah, I mean, I get the accuracy aspect of it. I'm just a little scared because he's not long off the tee and stuff like that. I mean, if you're gonna ask me to take someone at 7,500, I'd rather take Denny just because he could putt his way to a top 20. So I'd rather, like I said with Eric Cole, I'd rather play Chris Kirk, at Honda in a couple of weeks when we
that's a valid answer, and I do agree with the Denny. Denny's like just auto top T25 like every single week. It's funny. Dropping down to the dumpster. It's not really a dumpster. It's more like the value bin this week. Like, there's actually some good players, and again, 70 guys in the field, and the top 50 are going to make the cut. So A lot of these guys are probably going to end up, Adam Svensson. I think he had a T10 here last year or something like that. He played really, really well. He obviously rates out really well in my model. You mentioned Kitayama. We talked about him extensively when we were in the 7Ks just because, we watched a lot of him. But I do like Kurt too. Patrick Rogers, a guy that typically plays pretty good in California. He's been playing good as of late. I don't know how the hell he made it into this field, but he wasn't like in waste management. Like I don't know how that works or why that happened.
Sure.
But
I mean, it's an invitational, so it's Tiger inviting players to play here. So you could
how the hell did Patrick Rogers get an invite? Like
he's a Stanford guy. That's how.
Oh, okay, you're right. I failed it. I mean,
he played with Tiger in college.
He's missed the cut here 2 years in a row, but he played really, really well at Farmers. He played great at the Century and the Sony. Yeah. Obviously, he didn't do great at Pebble, but I wouldn't expect him to. That's not a great course fit for him. But Patrick Rogers, I kind of like Patrick Rogers at $6,800.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Last 2 years he's missed the cut though, but I mean that's okay. Before that he had some good finishes. I already talked about Kurt Guillaume. I don't need to go back to that. I like that play. Kevin Yu, I don't really know what to do with him. He's number 7 on my driving distance model here.
Yeah.
He mashes the ball off the tee. Obviously, he's never played here before. I'm not really sure if I can get to him, but same with him and Grayson Murray. Both of these guys, they both mash the ball off the tee. I don't really know if I don't really can get to him. Tiger Woods, I'm not going to play if he plays well and finishes in the top 20, makes a cut. I'm happy with all that. He's not going to get any of my money this week, so I'm perfectly okay with that. I'd rather go to Taylor Moore right at 6,500 at the same price as him. Let's see here, Taylor Moore. Where is he? 6,500. He's coming in off of 5 straight made cuts. He had a 21st place finish here a couple years ago. He's 12th in my driving distance model. I don't mind that at 6,500. Adam Svensson, I don't mind at 6,600. He had a top 10 here last year. It's value plays, but it's also kind of shitty plays down here. Also, it's a little give or take on both of those things. Luke List, Luke List is Luke List. We know what he's going to do. He's going to mash the ball off the tee, hit a good iron, and miss a putt. So if you can stomach that, you can play Luke List. He does have 3 out of the last 5 made cuts here, so I don't mind that at 6,600. Pure punt play at the very bottom. Sam Ryder, last 2 years, 20th and the 26th place finish here. He missed the cut last week on the number. At the flat and min, I don't mind that. He's pretty solid off the tee, and he hits good irons and stuff like that. That's it. I don't really have any. I don't actually mind Nick Hardy at 6,100. Yep. I think that's a pretty good play. He played well last week. And he is, let's see here, Nick Hardy lands at 17th in my driving distance model. Yeah, I like Nick Hardy here. Any history? One miscut last year. Yeah, I don't mind Nick Hardy at 6,100.
Yeah, I think of the guys below, from 63 and below, Hardy's probably my favorite play. I like Lee Hodges, but I'm kind of a Lee Hodges guy, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. He has played well at this track. So I would say below 63, I would go Hardy, Hodges, and then you, just because the dude mashes the ball off the tee. I mean, absolutely mashes the ball. Alex Smalley's interesting as well, too. Smalley's another guy who pounds the ball off the tee. We've seen him play well on approach from time to time. Played good at the Amex. Above that, I think you hit on all the names. The only other guy I'd throw into that mix is, other than Svensson and Rogers and Kitayama, who you talked about, the other guy that I'd throw into the mix there is Hoagie. Hoagie's just playing really, really good. Like, the fact that he's $6,700 is kind of laughable to me a little bit. Like, I feel like he's mispriced. When you got guys like Corey Connors and Harmon and Taylor. Well, Taylor's won last week, but Cam Davis, Hoagie being 67 and Cam Davis being 72 feels a little odd based off of their current form. I get it. People like to play Cam Davis. People don't like to play Hoagie, but I like Hoagie as well, too, at 6,700.
I will say that Hoagie is coming in as the chalkiest guy in the 6K range right now.
Obviously, everybody likes Hoagie then. So, what about your boy Chuck Hoffman? We have to mention him in case he's in a playoff this week.
What is his history like here? Let's see.
Let's see.
71st, the 52nd, miscut. Yeah, nothing to write home about Charlie Hoffman here. I'm not gonna. Once again, not clicking Charlie Hoffman. If he beats me again, he beats me again. What am I supposed to do?
Okay, what about your boy, my boy, Gary Woodland, old brain surgery? Are you ready to jump on the Gary Woodland bandwagon?
No, he does mash the ball off the tee. He is, top 10 driving distance the last 50 rounds. Ninth place finisher last year, but I mean, great story, obviously, coming off the brain surgery, but he's just not playing good golf right now. I need to see something from him first. He's coming in off of 3 straight miscuts. I need to see something from him and see if he's, back to old Gary Woodland before I even think about clicking him.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting the ball a long way off the tee, but hasn't been very accurate. The approach has not been great. I think he gained in both categories at Farmers, but he didn't play well at Waste Management. And so, to your point, I unlike Will Z, I think I've seen enough with Will Z where I'm ready to jump back in, and obviously everybody is. I like the Sam Ryder call at the flat 6K. He's playing pretty good, and this is a course where he has some good course history. So I like Sam Ryder as well. In terms of one and done and bets this week, like where do your eyes go with the numbers? Have you taken a look at the odds at all lately?
One and done wise, I can tell you the chalkiest guy in one and done this week is going to be Max Homa. People are just gonna click his name. I don't mind it, because of how good his course history is, but yeah, I don't really know what to do with one and done this week. I want to click Aberg's name. I'm a little hesitant to click Aberg's name just because he's never played here, but he's never played anywhere on tour. So it's like every week is going to be the same conversation. This is we should say this is a $4 million first prize. This is the second highest prize of the year. So you definitely want to use a stud. I wouldn't go play like, somebody like Will's out. I mean, I guess you could maybe play Will's Outdoors. I wouldn't go play like Keegan Bradley or something in one and done this week. I would definitely take somebody at the top. But yeah, I mean, I could see going to Adam Scott maybe. I could see going to Cam Young. Like, I think I'm going to go with a bomber this week for sure. I could go to Rory maybe. Rory?
Yeah, I mean, dude, for me, I have 2 lineups in our one and done competition, and so one of them is going to be Rory for sure, just because I feel like you're getting a discount on Rory, and the other one is either going to be it's either going to be Morikawa, Cantlay, or Homa. Like I just one of those 3 guys is going to be the other one. I'm going to track ownership. I really want to pick Homa, but to your point, like everybody's going to be on him. Like I can't can't do it. If he beats me, to your point, yeah, I like Aberg a lot too. Like I want to click his name as well. I think what it'll come down to. I think even Xander, like from Xander all the way to JT. Yeah, from Xander to JT, whoever looks like they're going to come in the lowest owned, I'm just going to take them. But I think one of them is going to be Rory for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of our one and done standings, you are in second place.
Yeah.
I have 2 lineups in the one and done also, but both of my lineups are in 3rd and 5th, so both of mine are cashing. So I'm about $29,000 behind you in 3rd place. So you want to tell me who you're going to use in your 2nd place lineup so I don't play that guy? You're going to take Rory
very well.
You going to take Rory with that one? Because then I'm not going to take Rory with that.
I don't know. That's the good thing about having 2 of these lineups is I get to be a little bit flexible. Like I can talk about it. Nobody knows which one I'm going to insert it into. So
Rory's definitely not going to be highly owned in one and done this week. People are going to save him for like the Players or a major or something like that. So it's not a bad play this week. I mean, I don't know if I don't know if he can win, but definitely top 5 is in play. I mean, that's going to be a nice check in itself. So
I had kind of earmarked, to your point, this tournament and the Players because they're the 2 biggest purses for Scotty and Rory, and I felt like I could basically pick one or the other in either tournament. So whichever one they're going to be like lower owned in, I'll just take them in that one. So, if that ends up happening, I do go with Rory, then that leaves me Scotty for the players, and vice versa. Maybe I go Scotty this week, and then that leaves me Rory for the players. So we'll see. But Rory's going to be a pick for me this week for sure in one of my lineups. In terms of bets, like I mentioned to you, I got the JT not when it opened at 28, but I got it at 22. So I'm on JT at 22. I'm on Morikawa at 20. I got Adam Scott at 40. I got Aberg at 25 as well. I feel like that's probably where I'm going to end up. I really, really, really want to bet one of Burns or Homa, and I cannot decide which one I want to do at plus 22. I like those numbers a lot. And then I'll probably end up, adding a couple guys like Hogard at 70 or, somebody deeper down the board, just bigger odds. Who I think might be able to make a run. And I mean, we've seen now this is 4 weeks in a row. Somebody above 100-1 has won this tournament. So I don't know. You got a guy above 100-1 that you really like this week?
Brian Harmon?
No, don't Brian.
I
Harmon.
don't know.
Get the hell out of here with Brian Harmon.
I don't know.
Harris English at 100 and Luke List at 125. Like
there you go, Luke List at 125. There's a play.
Patrick Rogers 165. Like I feel those are like those.
Dude, I mean, I'm in a one and done contest with about 500 people, and no one's hit a winner all year.
I know.
Every week we get it. It's done through email. Every week I get the same email. Another week, no one's picked the winner of the tournament. It's wild. I mean, this is 6 weeks in a row that we haven't been able to hit a winner in a golf tournament, which is wild. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't think somebody from down there is going to win, but who knows? I mean, Christian Bezuidenhout might win this week at 125-1. Who knows?
Yeah. I guess save some bullets for live ads in round 2 and round 3. That would be my advice to you this week.
I guess, yeah. All right, man.
Well, that's going to do it for us, Rick. I appreciate it, man. Everybody remember, subscribe to the Nickel City Mafia channel. Tons of content still. Mike and Jake doing the rush hour. Chris still jumping in and doing all of these things for fantasy football from time to time. We've got the dudes doing the Sabre show. I think they did the AFC East Summit tonight. They went through their first mock draft. So tons and tons of content coming through the channel. So I advise all you guys to go and do that. Appreciate everybody stuck in there. We had a bunch of people kind of chime in. Remember, if you guys want to chat with us, send a question. We will answer the question. And if you can't do it while we're live, drop it in the comments or join the Discord. We are available there as well. Appreciate it, Rick. Good luck to you this week, man. Hope you win a GPP or hit a winner. I mean, maybe if we get adventurous, maybe we drive up to Riv. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. All right. Take it easy. Good luck, everybody, and have a good night.
All right.